He was the man who crowned himself emperor, who redrew the map of Europe, and whose shadow looms large over history even 2 centuries after his death. But who was Napoleon Bonaparte, really? Was he a brilliant military genius, a visionary leader, or a ruthless tyrant? Join us as we journey back in time to uncover the true story of the little corporal who became the master of a continent. Our story begins not in a grand palace, but on the rugged island of Corsica, where a young, ambitious Napoleon Bonaparte dreamed of glory. He was an outsider, a scholarship boy at a French military academy, teased for his accent and his fiery temper. But within him burned a relentless drive, a tactical brilliance that would soon set the battlefields of Europe ablaze. The French Revolution lit the fuse. In the chaos and bloodshed, Napoleon saw his opportunity. With a whiff of grape shot in the streets of Paris, he saved the revolutionary government and skyrocketed to fame. His campaigns in Italy were legendary, a whirlwind of lightning-fast marches and decisive victories that left veteran Austrian generals baffled. He wasn't just winning battles, he was crafting his own legend, one dispatch at a time. But Napoleon's ambition couldn't be contained by Europe alone. He dreamed of an Eastern empire, leading a massive army into the sands of Egypt. While he stood in the shadow of the pyramids, his fleet was annihilated by the British Admiral Nelson at the Battle of the Nile. Trapped, lesser men would have surrendered. Napoleon? He simply abandoned his army, snuck back to France, and seized power in a coup d'etat, declaring himself first consul. The Republic was his. Now, with absolute power, he set about transforming France. He created the Napoleonic Code, a legal framework that influences laws around the world to this day. He reformed the economy, built new roads and bridges, and centralized the government. For a moment, it seemed peace might be possible. But this was Napoleon, and for him, peace was merely a pause between wars. In 1804, in a spectacular ceremony at Notre Dame Cathedral, he took the crown from the Pope's hands and placed it on his own head. He was now Napoleon I, Emperor of the French. His Grande Armée, a devoted and seemingly invincible fighting force, marched across the continent. At Austerlitz, his tactical masterpiece, he crushed the combined armies of Russia and Austria. He dismantled the 1,000-year-old Holy Roman Empire and placed his family on the thrones of Europe. He was the undisputed master of the land. But one nation remained defiant: Great Britain, protected by its powerful Royal Navy. To break them, Napoleon declared the Continental System, a massive Europe-wide embargo. This economic war would ultimately lead to his 2 greatest blunders. His invasion of Spain turned into a bloody years-long guerrilla war, the Spanish ulcer that drained his resources. Then came the fatal mistake: the invasion of Russia in 1812. He led the largest European army ever assembled, over 500,000 men, into the vast, unforgiving plains. He captured a burning Moscow, but the Russians refused to surrender. Forced into a winter retreat, his army was destroyed not by battle, but by starvation, frostbite, and relentless Cossack raids. The myth of his invincibility was shattered forever. The nations of Europe, smelling blood, formed a new coalition. Defeated at the Battle of the Nations at Leipzig, Napoleon was forced to abdicate and was exiled to the tiny island of Elba. But the story doesn't end there. In a move of incredible audacity, he escaped, landed in France, and rallied the nation behind him for one last gamble: the 100 Days. Europe held its breath. The final showdown came on a rain-soaked field in modern-day Belgium, a place called Waterloo. It was a close-run thing, a battle of titans against the Duke of Wellington. But by the end of the day, Napoleon's empire lay in ruins for good. This time, his enemies took no chances. He was exiled to the remote, wind-swept island of St. Helena in the middle of the Atlantic, a prisoner for the rest of his life. There, the man who once ruled an empire spent his final years dictating his memoirs, fighting boredom, and cementing his own myth for posterity. So, was he a hero or a villain? A liberator or an oppressor? The truth, as always, is complicated. Napoleon was a force of nature, a man of boundless energy and ambition, whose life was a whirlwind of triumph and tragedy. His legacy is etched into the very fabric of modern Europe. Thanks so much for joining us on this incredible journey. If you enjoyed this dive into history, please give us a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.